The life and legacy of Moses, a journey of faith and deliverance. The birth of a deliverer. Moses was born during a time of great peril for the Israelites in Egypt. Pharaoh, fearing the growing population of the Hebrews, decreed that every male child born to them must be thrown into the Nile River. Amid this oppression, a Levite woman named Jochebed gave birth to a son. Recognizing something extraordinary about the child, she hid him for 3 months. When she could no longer conceal him, she placed him in a papyrus basket and set it afloat among the reeds of the Nile, entrusting his fate to God. By divine providence, Pharaoh's daughter discovered the baby and took pity on him. She named him Moses, meaning drawn out of the water, and raised him as her own in the Egyptian palace. Though Moses grew up in luxury, he was deeply aware of his Hebrew heritage. Moses' encounter with God. Years later, after killing an Egyptian who was beating a Hebrew slave, Moses fled to Midian, where he lived as a shepherd. There, he married Zipporah, the daughter of a Midianite priest, and began a new chapter of his life. Yet, God had not forgotten his people or his plan for Moses. One day, while tending his father-in-law's flock near Mount Horeb, Moses encountered the extraordinary, a bush engulfed in flames that did not burn up. As he approached, God called to him from the bush, saying, "Moses, Moses." Trembling, Moses answered, "Here I am." God revealed his plan to deliver the Israelites from bondage and commissioned Moses to confront Pharaoh and lead his people to freedom. Overwhelmed, Moses protested, citing his lack of eloquence and authority. But God assured him, saying, "I will be with you," and provided signs to confirm his power. He also appointed Moses' brother Aaron as his spokesperson. Confronting Pharaoh. Moses returned to Egypt armed with God's promise and authority. He and Aaron confronted Pharaoh, demanding, "Let my people go, so that they may worship me." Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he refused, prompting God to unleash a series of 10 devastating plagues upon Egypt. From turning the Nile into blood to the death of the firstborn, each plague demonstrated God's supremacy over Egypt's gods and Pharaoh's impotence. The final plague broke Pharaoh's resistance. On the night of the first Passover, the Israelites marked their doorposts with lamb's blood, and the angel of death passed over their homes, sparing their firstborn. Pharaoh finally relented, allowing the Israelites to leave. The Exodus. The Israelites departed Egypt in haste, guided by a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. But Pharaoh soon pursued them with his army, trapping them at the Red Sea. In this moment of crisis, God commanded Moses to stretch out his staff over the waters. The sea parted, creating a path for the Israelites to cross on dry ground. When the Egyptians followed, the waters closed over them, delivering Israel from their enemies. Receiving the law. In the wilderness, God led his people to Mount Sinai, where he established his covenant with them. Amid thunder and lightning, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, a divine code of conduct that would shape Israel's identity as his chosen people. Yet, even as Moses communed with God, the people below turned to idolatry, worshipping a golden calf. Moses interceded for them, demonstrating his role as a mediator between God and his people. The journey to the Promised Land. For 40 years, Moses led the Israelites through the desert, enduring their complaints and rebellions. Despite their unfaithfulness, God provided manna from heaven, water from a rock, and his continual presence. Moses' steadfast faith and obedience were tested repeatedly, but he remained committed to God's mission. However, even Moses faced consequences for his actions. When he struck a rock in anger to bring forth water instead of speaking to it as God commanded, he was told he would not enter the Promised Land. Despite this, Moses continued to lead with humility and dedication, preparing the next generation to fulfill God's promise. Moses' death and legacy. As the Israelites stood on the brink of the Promised Land, God took Moses to Mount Nebo and showed him the land from afar. There, Moses died at the age of 120, his strength and vision undimmed. God himself buried him, and his grave remains unknown. Moses' life is a testament to God's faithfulness, power, and grace. He transformed a reluctant shepherd into a deliverer, a lawgiver, and a friend of God. His story inspires Christians to trust in God's plan, to persevere through trials, and to lead others in faith and obedience. As Hebrews 11 verses 24 to 27 recounts, Moses' choices were guided by faith. By faith Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to be mistreated along with the people of God rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. May the story of Moses remind us that God can use anyone to accomplish his purposes, and that with him, all things are possible. Thank you for watching. Please tell us your opinion on the comment section and like this video please.